Jose Mourinho's team, whatever that team is, on the local stage, well, he hasn't bothered very much yet. He lives somewhere in Agudu, Surulere, Lagos, and is representing all of Surulere tonight. He's known on Twitter as David Prime 360 and on Instagram as El Chadi and also David Prime 360. As a young man in his 20s, make welcome to a guy whom his friends call Chibu Double XL or something like that. Chibu XXL. It's Augustine David. Welcome.
Thank you very much for having me.
How are you doing, brother?
I'm doing great. Really excited.
So how would you wish to be addressed? As Augustine or as David?
I would prefer to be addressed as David.
And what do your friends call you?
That's Chibu Double XL.
Chibu Double XL.
Sounds for extra loud.
Extra loud. Loud, not large. No. Okay, good. Because I don't think you are extra large. His opponent. She stays somewhere in Aja. Abijo in Aja. She's carrying the hopes of Etiosa local government. On Twitter, she is she's Nlemadim. On Instagram, she's Nlemadim. Jesus Christ, what is wrong with me? So the surname is Nlemadim. Her name is Amarachi. Amarachi, save me. And save yourself from me massacring your name. How are you doing, Amarachi? Please come closer to your microphone, Amarachi, so we can hear you properly. And please use your headphone. Yeah, so you can hear us too. You need some assistance? Okay, you're good. All right. Amarachi, how are you doing?
Very well.
Very well. I'm going to need you to be a little closer to your mic so we can hear you pretty well. All right. How are you doing?
Very well.
Help me with the proper pronunciation. Nlemadim.
Nlemadim.
Is that an Imo name?
An Igbo name.
Igbo, what is it? Imo?
Imo State. Yeah.
Imo State. Where in Imo State?
Very North.
Okay, excellent. So, welcome to the show. Let's leave it at that. You support Liverpool.
Yes, please.
You hope to support any local team someday?
I'll be looking at Iwanya National.
You're still considering?
That's Football Club,
Atlant.
Okay. So, do you work? Do you school? Do you are you in business?
I work.
You work.
Yes.
All right. So, let's leave it at that. Are you ready for this battle? Let's go into the battle, lady and gentleman. David, you are contestant number 1. Have you followed the battle since it started?
Yes, I have.
Have you, Amarachi?
Yes, please.
Okay. So, Amarachi is pretty soft-spoken. Let's hope the enemies don't bully her. Let's leave it at that, as that. Okay, David, you are contestant number 1. Okay? The topic at issue is this: the impact of commercialization on modern day football. Is it negative or positive? The impact of commercialization on modern day football. Negative or positive? We put that in a lottery, and Amarachi picked positive, while David picked negative. As a reminder to our audience listening, the positions these two individuals will be defending is not a reflection of what they believe personally. Bear that in mind when you vote. Do not just make it about, oh, I agree that it is positive, so I'll vote for whoever said it's positive. Or I agree it's negative, and then you vote for whoever said it's negative. Look beyond that. Look at the arguments. Who impressed you the more? Who would you rather listen to? In other words, you could agree with the position. Oh, it's positive. However, The person saying it's positive did not impress me. I don't think it's negative, but the person who said it's negative impressed me, so I will vote for them. It's a delicate balance, and our audience are very informed, and we trust you. Right after the debate, the battle, we'll go to the phone lines, we'll come to the panel, and we'll go to social media. We're streaming live on Facebook and Twitter. We only have time before the next break for their opening comments. So let's go straight. David, you say the impact of commercialization on football is negative. You have 1 minute to open your arguments and convince us. The time is right now.
All right, so there was a time when footballers were so passionate about the game. There was a time they came to play the game and they brought out their whole heart. They bled the blood of the team, you know. But commercialization of the sport has made it difficult for footballers to be passionate about the team that they're supporting. And then for the fans, it's making it difficult for the fans to express their loves towards the sport. As you can see, football team owners are increasing prices of tickets, and fans cannot be able to watch the people that they love play this beautiful game of football. Again, streaming wars. You can see it in the fact that before you can be able to afford to watch this game, you have to subscribe to an elite platform of viewing service, which is bridging the gap, which is football, the fans, the ball, and the players. So it's affecting it negatively.
So negative is your position, and you quite deserve the applause you are getting for it. Thank you very much for making your point known, saving us some time in the process. I appreciate it. Okay, at this point, we'll go straight to Amarachi for a rebuttal. You say commercialization is positive in football. Convince us. You have 1 minute, Amarachi, for your opening remarks, and your clock is ticking.
Okay, thank you. When it comes to commercialization in football, it has been the bedrock of the modern day football, in the sense that when you look at the football itself, it has benefited from it, in the sense that generation of revenue has increased because of the streaming world and also advertisement that comes from the media. Now, when you look at the football sector, you can also see that most stadiums, for instance, Tottenham recently increased their stadium capacities due to the revenue they've gotten from commercialization, be it from media advert, from sales of tickets. Also, when you look at sponsorship, commercialization has also boosted the effects we have on sponsorship, in the sense that most brand will always associate with top clubs that will always bring in revenue for them as well.
Thank you very much. Your position is noted. It's taken. And you also left us some seconds. We appreciate that. Thank you very much, Amarachi. So opening arguments already done. Opening arguments done. When we return from a short break, we will have David and Amarachi go head to head for 2 minutes. I'll use my discretion as to whether to give you the full 2 minutes or perhaps even extend it. We'll see how that goes. Meanwhile, we're streaming live on Facebook, Nigeria Info 99.3. We're also streaming live on YouTube, which you'll find on our Twitter handle at Nigeria Info FM. You'll get to vote on those two portals. On Facebook, you'll vote at the bottom of the video. On Twitter, you will see the tweet posted, a poll. We'll come to the phone lines. We'll hear you vote. Stick with us, because a panel of 3 are also here, and they carry a whopping 60 marks. Who will take this? David or Amarachi? We'll find out. All right. Just before we left, we are at a point where we're getting set for these two individuals to go head to head. And that's where we'll go now. As a reminder, you can join in this conversation. We're streaming live on Facebook. That's Nigeria Info 99.3. We're streaming live on YouTube. And you can find that on our Twitter handle at Nigeria Info FM, where you get to vote for one of these two individuals. You vote on Twitter, you vote on Facebook. The voting portal on Facebook is just below the live stream video. On Twitter, you'll see the Twitter poll. I would advise that you do not commence voting now, even if you could. Wait a while. The head-to-head will give you a better impression of who might be swinging this thing one way or the other. Judges Chuma, Adeze, and David are with me. You'll find out soon enough. You'll also get to vote via the phone lines. We'll come back to that later on. Chuma, where are we with the lines? We seem to have been having some phone challenges earlier on.
A bit of hiccups with the 0700993 line. So we will open the platform for everybody else to call the 01465 7190 for tonight only. At 01465 7190 when we're ready for that.
So we're making an exception tonight only. I hope it doesn't come back to bite us. We will allow men on the night only to use the ladies. I hope this will not be bad, but that's the nature of how it is these days. The general phone line is down. Okay. So we'll make an exception today, after which we'll chase you around with a gun if you ever call that line again if you're a guy. So let's go straight to the heart of the matter. And the heart of the matter is about commercialization in football. Well, David feels that it's negative for football. It's destroying football. Adeze feels it's positive for football. It's helping football. Remember, pardon me, that's Adeze, Amarachi, pardon me. Now, remember, like we told you earlier on, that the positions these two individuals take may not necessarily reflect their personal opinion on the matter. It is for debate purposes. They didn't choose the position they are taking. What I mean is, they didn't decide that was the position they wanted to take. We put negative and positive as choices, and they did a blind picking. So they are defending a position whether they believe it or not. In respect and, of course, appreciation of that effort, when we vote, please remember to look beyond merely the position you support or just points. Points are great, but a healthy balance of points and delivery will help you make an informed decision. I always say this: ask yourself, who would I rather listen to? Who's more convincing? Who will I put my money on? We have very intelligent individuals in David and Amarachi, and they are about to go head to head. I will give them 2 minutes. I suspect I'm going to extend those 2 minutes if they bring the game on. David, Amarachi, your time starts now.
Tottenham Stadium, right?
Sorry, I'll have you guys start again.
Okay.
Go.
All right, so you mentioned Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. Are you aware that they went into debt after building that stadium? And they were not able to afford players, to get players for Jose Mourinho so that he can be able to win a trophy, affecting the fans from enjoying a beautiful game. They built a mega stadium and they couldn't play quality football because they couldn't get good players.
When it comes to commercialization, what do you think it is? It's all about making profit, right? Now, you don't expect stadiums to be empty. Now, the media is also a bedrock in which commercialization is being pronounced, because you can go through the social media, you can also stream live to watch. You mustn't go to the stadium to watch the football.
So why build $1 billion stadium so big that should be filling up over 50,000 people? Why build it if you don't want people to come in, increasing the fares of tickets? Why build such a stadium?
When you come to commercialization in football, now you look at what media have done. They help to promote this particular sport.
Look, I'm sorry what
thereby
you're saying.
Bringing in revenues to.
They are not promoting
football.
any sport. Football is
They
not
are
the
promoting
stadium.
this football because
is the player,
players
the
have
ball,
the
and the
time.
fans.
The players
Once you're
have
separating the fans from
participating time
enjoying
and
good
full
football,
time to
you're
express
killing the
themselves
beauty
there.
of football.
Now,
You're
this
talking about streaming.
commercialization also promotes effectiveness.
Effectiveness. Amongst
Yes.
who?
When it
Amongst
comes
who,
to-
please?
when
The
it comes
players.
to the
Are you seeing what
players
is happening
and
with
also
players? Are you seeing
sponsorship.
what is happening with someone
It
like
co-
Mbappe? Players used to want to play for the best team, win the best trophies. But someone like Mbappe, look me in the eyes and tell me Mbappe is bleeding PSG.
Now look at Nigerian
Look me in the eyes
professional
and tell me
football.
Mbappe
They are
bleeds
suffering
PSG.
because they lack sponsorship.
They lack
And
sponsorship.
Yes,
You
they
think
can't
that's
pay-
why Nigerian football is
Yes,
suffering?
they lack sponsorship.
Not management. You think it's
Management is
sponsorship?
inclusive, but sponsorship is there as well. Also, now because they can't sell, they don't
They
have.
can't sell what? How
Sponsorship,
many of
but
our
they can't-
players are going
they
out there?
can't
The
sell
money
and
in
they can't-
football will always be made, my dear. You talked
Yes.
about streaming wars. Few months ago, I was watching I wanted to watch the Champions League semi-finals.
Now
Two
look
games
at
were being played in 2 different days, and I couldn't watch any. I couldn't watch any with my friends. We couldn't watch any. Something died inside of me. Something about football died inside
still
of me.
stand on
And
it
this is
that
very important. The
commercialization
fans, the ball,
positive
and
to
the players.
football
Those are
in the
big
sense that
things.
when it comes to promotion, you don't expect a brand to get associated with
With what?
football
With what?
with fans that are not
Football.
well
Can I ask you
known.
a question? Do you love this game?
I love the
You
game
love
passion.
football.
Yes,
Have you ever
please.
watched a monkey post game before?
That's a local game you're
Look
talking about.
on the streets.
Yes.
You enjoyed it, right?
Yes.
Did you not enjoy it? Did you not root for someone? That is football. Football is not the stadium. Football is not all these mega
The
things
context
you're
you're
talking
looking
about.
at, what
You're
is it all
killing-
about?
You're
It's about
killing
making
the
profit.
game. Look
You
at
don't
players
expect
don't
me
want to
to
be
put my
passionate
bag where I can
anymore.
make
All
profit.
because they are looking
I
at the
always
money.
try to make
They are
profit,
looking at the
thereby
money. They know that if
signing
you can buy a
players that
player
will
like Harry
improve my
Maguire for 80 million,
brand, and
what is
also
it? What
promote
about
my
me?
brand
You
as
should be
well.
able to buy me for such.
No, I
You're
dispute
killing
you.
the love
I'm
for the
still
game.
saying that
Commercialization
look at
keeps
our
killing the
professional
love
football
for the
in
game.
Nigeria is suffering because we lack commercialization. The
We lack
selling of shares is always difficult.
Come on, Nigeria's
Thus-
league is suffering because of management.
I would ask, lady and gentlemen, I'm going to give you 30 seconds
Yes, sir.
more. 30 seconds. But at this time, I would want it spent giving each other some time to make their
All right,
points. Who wants to go first? Amarachi, I think. Okay, you go first.
All right. So you keep saying Nigerian team. We're talking about modern day football, my dear. How has it affected the players? And I mentioned Mbappe for you. On a normal day, Mbappe should have run to Real Madrid, knowing fully well that this is a dream to play for one of the most elite teams in the world. But Baba's heart was bleeding green. I asked you, look at me in the eyes and tell me Mbappe was bleeding PSG. But before you see someone, Real Madrid came for people like Francisco Totti, like Frank Lampard, but they didn't go because they were bleeding the blood of the
Amarachi,
team.
you may counter him now.
So tell me, how is this now affecting? It's killing the passion. It's killing the passion. It's killing the love that the fans have for this game. For God's sake, I couldn't watch the Champions League semi-finals with my friends. Something died inside of me on that
I
day.
dispute you, please. Because now, when it comes to these footballers, they want to have participating time, thereby promoting a particular, maybe a brand that wants to sign them or not.
The footballers.
The footballers as well. I'm also saying that for media is like a mirror to this commercialization, because without the media, most players will not be promoted.
Can I
Do you
ask a
get
question?
that?
Do you remember the time we
All right. I'm going to ask that you please leave it there. We do not have all night. You still have a minute each to close your argument. Thank you for the debate. Highly appreciated. I'm sure the audience also appreciate it, so which is why you're getting the applause. Thank you very much. Now we'll go straight into the closing arguments, and it's an opportunity for a minute to make your point, and it's just that minute. Whatever you want to say within that minute, you're at liberty to say so. David, you are contestant 1 for the sake of this battle, and you will go first. Your time starts now.
All right, you keep talking about this whole media thing and everything. Football is a game that should be enjoyed by those who live in the palace and those who stay in the trenches. It's a beautiful game. It's not some tennis or NASCAR, some elite kind of game. And you're talking about the streaming wars. The streaming wars has made it difficult for certain people to be able to afford the streaming services that show these particular games. Look at what happened to the league, the Super League. They brought it up without considering the players. The fans had to step up. Legends of this game had to step up and say, no, We don't want this. You need to put the fans into consideration. I keep saying it. Football is the fans, the ball, and the players. That's what makes this game a beautiful game. Thank you.
Thank you very much. You have spared us some time, and I think you deserve a round of applause, don't you? Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Well done, David. Amarachi, now you have a chance for the final rebuttal and for your closing argument. And let me set your clock for that 1 minute. There you go. You may proceed.
Okay, now, when you're talking about the passion, actually, yes, the passion is needed. But you don't expect me to go to a club that cannot pay my bills. In the sense that commercialization has helped clubs to generate revenues. And also the media, it has also helped the media to promote efficiency in production and delivery. You don't expect a media house to be low in their delivery and you expect sponsorship to come in. Now also for sponsors, you don't expect me to go to where I cannot earn when I sow, because when I sow, I expect to reap. So commercialization has boosted this, like these three bodies. The football body is benefiting from commercialization. The media is also benefiting from commercialization. Likewise, the sponsors, they're also benefiting from commercialization. In the sense that it helps to publicize this particular. Look, you're giving an instance for Mbappe. Mbappe going to Real Madrid. That's where maybe passion comes in. Now he's looking at what he's going to get from PSG and what he's going to get from Real Madrid. You see, when he's in PSG, he has this opportunity to show himself because Messi is there and also Neymar is there. The relationship there can also improve. You get that? That's what I'm saying. Commercialization has been is positive.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. When the alarm goes and the audience begins to clap, you just have to round up that final thought in just a few seconds. Thank you for this time, David and Amarachi. You've done your part. There is nothing you can do about anything right now. Your road, your journey to the final of Fan Battle 3 rests in the hands of others now. Our listeners at home who get to call us, 7 of those votes, a maximum of 7, will determine who gets the 20% of the points allotted to the phone calls. You only need to take 4 and you win it. And then there's social media, 10 points each between Facebook and Twitter for a collective 20 more marks, making it 40 from the audience. 60% of the votes will be decided by the professionals who make the panel of judges who are in the studio, who know what we are looking for. Just in case you haven't voted online, go to our Facebook page, Nigeria Info 99.3. Follow the live stream there and vote under the screen. You will see there 2 names. You will see David, you will see Amarachi. Click on either name to vote for either of those 2 persons. You may drop a comment, but your comment does not necessarily count as a vote, so you have to vote. Interesting. You can also vote on Twitter. You will see the Twitter poll, and you can follow us live also on YouTube. You can find the link to that YouTube live session right there on our Twitter. You can also follow this battle on the Nigeria Info mobile app, so you can take us wherever you go. Time to vote, Chuma. Let's go to the phone lines. The line is 01-465-7190. And for the next few minutes only, gentlemen and boys will be allowed to use this line for the purpose of this vote in concert with our ladies. 01-465-7190. If that is clear, let's go to the vote. Best of 4.
So we expect to hear from both male and female callers,
yes,
through this line.
Male and female.
For now only.
So it's actually best of 7. Whoever gets 4 marks takes 20%. Who votes first? Hello, good evening to you.
Good evening.
Yes, please. How are you doing?
This is Abis.
Okay, welcome. Thank you for joining us.
Well, both of them were fantastic in their debate. And if I have my way, I think both of them should go through the next round. But it's not done that way, I guess. But I just pray and hope that one of them should go for the best loser. But I'll go for Amarachi. Yeah.
Amarachi has your vote.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Let's see who else we get.
Hello, Femi and gang. Good
How are
evening.
you? Good evening to you.
My name is Sharon.
Welcome, Sharon. Where are you calling from?
Ikorodu.
Okay, so you heard the debate. David
Yeah,
and Amarachi.
David for me. David killed it. David was articulative and he was so clear and expressive.
Excellent. Thank you very much for joining
Thank
us.
you.
Thank you for your vote. Who is voter number 3? It's one apiece.
Hello,
as we
good
speak.
evening.
Hello, how are you doing?
I'm fine. This is Peculiar.
And the ladies are fighting for their rights. Yes, Peculiar. Welcome.
Okay,
How do
so
you
it's a tough decision, but I'll have to go for David. It was more convincing for me.
Okay. David
Thank
takes Peculiar's peculiar vote. Thank you very much. David leads by 2-1. Hi there.
Hello, good evening.
Good evening to you.
Mr. Caleb Maguleda.
All right. How are you doing?
I'm fine, thank you.
You had the debate. David and Amarachi. Who impressed you more?
David.
David impressed you more.
Yes, like you said, it's not about if they're right or wrong. It's not about what they're actually debating on. It's about how they use their words, how confident they are. And for that, I'm voting for David.
All right. Thank you very much. Once again, the number is 014657190. For the gentleman who didn't catch that number. We'll take a break. And we'll be back shortly. Just before we left, we were trying to wrap up the phone calls. We had to go on a quick break. We had taken 4 votes on social media. David had taken all 3 of those.
Through the phone lines.
Interesting. And all those voters were ladies. The one guy who voted for Amarachi, and that was the first caller. So, 3-1. There are just a maximum of 3 more phone call votes left. However, the next vote might decide it. David only needs 1 to clinch all 20 percentage points available here. So who will that be? A gentleman or a lady? Hello, good evening to you.
Good evening, Femi. Good evening, contestants, and good evening to the judges. This is Nan speaking,
Good
please.
evening. How are you doing?
I am very well, thank you. How are you?
Good. We're good. Welcome.
Okay, so based on their closing argument, I am going to be voting for Amarachi, please.
Based on the closing argument.
Yes, please.
Thank you very much for your vote. Appreciate it. And so the field is leveling 3-2. Amarachi. Well, David leads 3-2 to Amarachi.
Hello.
2. Yes, please. How are you doing?
Mr. Femi.
You are voter number 6.
Okay.
And you can end the vote here or extend it to 7. It's your
All right.
call.
No problem. I already know who I want to vote for actually.
Let's meet you though,
So,
if you don't mind.
basically, sorry?
Let's meet you if you don't mind.
Chooks.
Okay, Chooks, where are you calling from?
Lukweju.
Ilukweju. Okay, Chooks.
Yeah, so, based on what they actually debated on, I feel like the guy actually had more points for me because, if I were to be in the lady's position, I could have had more points to counter him because I would have, made mention of the league, our league here, Nigeria Professional Football League. Because if you look at it, I can't remember the last time the winner of the league even won something because there is no sponsor.
She mentioned that actually.
This team that even play in the league right now, I don't think at the end of the season, I don't think they even give them anything. They just play for fun. How many private teams do we have in the league? Because of lack of, all these things are things that she could have. So anyway, to cut the long story short, I vote for the guy.
You vote for the guy, and that takes David over the edge. and he wins the call votes by 4 votes to 2, and that represents 20% of the total votes available here. We still got a long way to go, however, and Amarachi can bounce back depending on the perception of the judges as to the battle they just heard. And they are the professionals, and we would like to hear from them. Meanwhile, after that, we'll go to social media. We'd like to hear what you guys think on social media, voting on Facebook and Twitter. Nigeria Info 993 on Facebook, at Nigeria Info FM on Twitter. We're streaming live on Facebook, and you'll find it there on our page. And the voting portal is just beneath the video. Click on either name, David or Amarachi, or probably be, is it David or Amarachi or Augustine or Amarachi? You'll see it there. And vote. On Twitter, there is a poll. You cannot miss it. If you go to at Nigeria Info FM, you'll also see our YouTube live stream of this battle embedded there, and you can vote. There's just a minute left of voting to be done on Twitter. A minute left. If you haven't voted, vote now quickly. Nigeria Info FM 993. That's Nigeria at Nigeria Info FM. Okay? And then we'll come to Facebook. To the panel. Who would go first this time?
I think we can use the alphabetical order now. And I noticed something which got me smiling, Femi. David, the contestant, is seated by David, the judge. Amarachi, the contestant, seated by Daisy, the judge. So it's AADD.
Yeah. The two Davids facing the two Goliaths on the other side. Interesting. So who's going here? Daisy or David?
Let me go.
You'd like to go?
Let me go.
All right.
You know, sometimes when we come here, when you notice that your opponent is maybe on it has the lower hand now, it gives the other person more confidence to go ahead and argue more, and then look to impose. You had one very strong point I felt you would have used to your advantage, Amarachi, and now that is it. You support Liverpool. 2 of your players currently are in a lockdown with the club. They want more money. So where does the club bring the money from? If they don't commercialize, if they don't do deals with, this would have been the points that would have just made him stutter a bit. Because when you kept on rolling around your points, they were quite few, but you tried to buttress them, you kept on repeating some of them. But I just expected that footballers these days are greedy. Pogba this evening, his documentary is going to be released tomorrow. He's saying that Manchester United offered him nothing. When I mean nothing, this is a player that is earning 290k. So he's saying that 290k is nothing. Where would the club get the money if they don't go to Asia to commercialize the club? This would have been a very big sucker punch, but you didn't use it. The more these players demand money, the more the club go out there to also look for how to appease the big. And again, how do the big clubs attract big players if they don't buy them with an expensive amount of money? Where do they get the money from? It's through commercialization. So if you had brought out this point, you would have stuttered. And your closing remark was quite impressive. That was when you came alive. You came alive during your closing remarks, but we had already made up our mind, given the fact that you allowed him to buttress his point. And then he also mentioned the fans. The fans will query the club if they are not going for the marquee signing. Go to social media. Chelsea fans are already angry that City and Liverpool have bought the best legs. So how do you get all of this? It's money. So without money, modern day football is dead. I mean, you stand at a big advantage, but you didn't use it to. You allowed him out muscle you, but eventually you did a good job though. You were able to hold your ground despite the fact that he had a louder voice, but you held your ground and then tried to buttress your point. But eventually he won you. He said his heart was broken, that he couldn't. Well, he has a point in that aspect, given the fact that if you don't subscribe to the internet, if you're not up to a certain amount of level of some class in the society, you will not be able to access some games even on the internet. Even the cable subscription is going in. So basically, I think I'll give it to him. I'll show you in that regard. Yeah.
All right,
David is his name.
Is it David?
Yeah, David.
So just for the point of correction, where you said she came alive in the
Closing
closing remarks,
yeah.
by which time we had made up our mind.
Yes,
you had.
Me, no, not
I had
we.
missed
Sorry,
that.
yeah,
Okay.
I made up my mind.
All
yeah.
right. So of course you already know, if you're following, that the judges vote individually. So David takes Adaize's vote. Maybe only just who knows, I don't know. But he takes it nonetheless.
Yeah.
All right. The other David.
Well, I for
This
one
is
thing,
now David the judge for the records.
I do not. I'm sure the audience can make that out. Well, I do not
It's hard
subsist.
to make out anything about you because we don't know in what voice we are going to speak about it.
Well, this is my voice right now. Well, I do not subscribe to the school that thinks that a loud voice necessarily means a stronger argument. I don't think Amarachi struggled at all. Maybe the only place she struggled was probably with the fact that, David here was obviously much more vehement and in a lot of respects articulate too. But your being articulate can suffer if the other person is louder, and that can be something that counts against you. But on the strength of the argument, she knocked it out of the park. One part that particularly stood out for me was in the first argument. He was the one who came up with the talk about streaming wars, but he knew very well that he was on safety ground, so he quickly abandoned the argument. The good thing, however, was that she picked up the slack and knocked it out. And that just showed that it's very hard to do that sort of thing when you have your argument prepared and ready to go. It could mess with your confidence if you go making another go into a rebuttal, and you may yet forget your point. But she handled it very, very well. Her closing argument was solid, and she closed very well. She mentioned the example of the local league, the fact that brands will not come for a league that does not hold the attention of the viewing public. He kept making the point that football is for the fans, football is for the fans. But he said football is for the fans, and the fans make it make sense commercially. And it was something that she was always able. She brought the example of Tottenham Stadium. Of course, I felt that with a little bit more research, she could have dug into that and found that the stadium was a long-term investment. That in 10 years they would have broken even and started seeing profits on something that cost them over $1 billion to build. So it was an investment for the future, and since it was opened 3 years ago, it's pretty much one of the best stadiums out there. So the viewing experience for the fans has gone up, because for how many clubs in world football now can muster $1 billion to spend on a stadium? Not many. Only a Premier League team, I dare say, would manage that kind of outlay on a project of that size. And that was an argument that she could have dug into, but of course she didn't do that, and that counted against her. But on the whole, she won this one, and she has my vote.
So Amarachi takes David's vote at the expense of David. It sounds confusing if you're just joining, but yes, that's just the nature of the way it is.
I think they'll get a hang of it.
Yes. So Judge David gives his vote not to contestant David, but to contestant Amarachi, which means David's lead has been cut by half. 20 from the phone calls, 20 from George Adaize, shot him to 40 points, 40 percentage points. Amarachi is back with 20. We come to George Chuma. What's your assessment, and how do you vote?
For me, this is a setup. I thought that the fact that I was going to go last was going to make things easier for me, because I expected these people to wrap things up and just give me the soft landing. However, having to be the deciding factor feels like Game 7 of the NBA Finals this time around. As always, I'll pick on strong and weak points of the two contestants just before I give my final answer on who I'm going for the contest. I thought that the intro for the two parties, when it came to being smooth, David was more smooth in the delivery for the intro than Amarachi was. David spoke about the fact that it's made it difficult for players to be passionate again. The fact that there's so much money in the game means players sometimes want to go for the money than the passion, which in the past was not the case, because you had people playing for the passion and the love they had for both the teams they were playing for and of course the game itself too. And Amarachi spoke about the fact that it's about generating revenue. Let me just ensure that this is straight. Okay, in her intro she spoke about the modern day football being on, finance being the bedrock, the commercialization of football being the bedrock of the modern day game, and the generation of revenue has increased because of the commercial nature of the sport. When he went into the battle between both of them for the 2 minutes they had, the argument from David was, can you beat your chest and say that Mbappe remained at PSG because he saw PSG as a side as good as Real Madrid? His argument is that David Mbappe stuck around because of the money. I thought that later, in her closing remarks towards the end, Amarachi responded to that by saying that Mbappe had Messi and Neymar with him, and that's also quality in PSG. So I thought she did well with that response. I also thought that at that very point, she could have given him even more responses when he said, look at the Totti example at AS Roma. Real Madrid came for Totti. Totti stuck with Roma. She could have as well told him, okay, so if Totti could stick with Roma, and you believe that, Totti stuck with Roma because he had the aroma to love that side, why do you now believe that Mbappe is staying with PSG because of money? If you're saying Totti stuck with Roma because of the love he had for the side, I thought she could have argued that one with him. But the good thing is she responded to him later, like I said, with the whole Neymar and Messi thing, and the fact that Mbappe also has quality he's playing with at PSG, and that's enough to entice him to stay in the side beyond just the money thing. Wrapping up on my thoughts on what they had to say, I thought that there were good arguments. She made the case for the NPFL, which made so much sense. Because if there's money in our league, then I'm sure that we'll be more proud of what we have here in the league too. So it was a close battle at times, but what will be the deciding factor for me as to who wins this is that famous line you use often: who will you prefer to listen to if you were to be tuned to 99.3 right now as to delivery? I'm somebody who's very keen on people being smooth in delivery, in presentation. That's what captivates me when I'm listening to a rival or a colleague on air, that ability to flow seamlessly. And I think that when it came to that, David had it better than Amarachi. So I'm going to go for David on this.
So David takes Chuma's vote, and that, just takes him over the line as he's hit his 60-point mark. 60 to Amarachi's 20 as we speak. We'll go to social media. At this point, whatever the outcome on social media will no longer affect the outcome of this battle because it has been decided. Amarachi cannot go beyond 40 percentage points at this time. But let's go to social media. It was social media who decided the earlier battle today in favor of Michael. There was a draw between the panel and the callers at 40-40. What does social media do now? Social media were unanimous in deciding for Michael. 10 points available on each platform. So there are 20 points available shared between Nigeria Info FM, that's the Twitter handle, and Nigeria Info 993, that's the Facebook handle. Chuma, how did social media vote?
All right, I'm going to start with Twitter, Femi, and one of the contestants got 60% of the votes, and the other contestant was on 40% of the votes. And the contestant who had the higher votes on Twitter is David. He got that, the 60%. So congratulations to him for that.
Congratulations. So you are at 70% now. Let's go to Facebook. Are we going to give Facebook a little time?
Yeah,
we need to give Facebook a little time. We will let you know. But congratulations are in order for you, David. You've crossed the line and you've qualified. You've gone into the round of 24, which is the second round of this contest. You would know if you were number 1 today or number 2, because those are the 2 positions. The decision as to who was number 1 overall on the night will be made by the panel after this, and you will be briefed. You are free to go at this point if you choose to go. If you want to stay until the end of the battle, yes, you are welcome. But you've done the job. Congratulations. If you have anything to say, now would be a good time.
I'd like to say big thank you to everyone who follows the fan battle game. You guys are amazing. Thank you for this opportunity, and Jose Mourinho for life.
All right. Thank you very, very much. And now to Amarachi. Well, okay. You didn't win. You gave it a good crack. I was so proud. Are you disappointed that you didn't win?
No, I'm not.
Okay. You're not disappointed at all. You feel you did the best you could under the circumstance?
Definitely.
Most certainly. I have no doubt. The good news is it is not over. We do not know yet whether you've had your first and final battle of Fan Battle Season 3. The judges will have to determine that. As we'll excuse David now. Amarachi, stay in your seat. David will leave us now. And we would have MC Biscuit Chisom step right into.
Yes. So David, you could get him for us.
Yes. And David can carry his big frame away from our live stream camera. Yeah. Chisom, this when you step into the studio, always slide left because of our long shot cameras. We are in a way on television, if you permit me to say so.
Beautiful.
So here we go. Now this is the moment of decision. Before we make the decision between these 2 people, first, an important decision to be made, lady and gentlemen. Of the 2 battles today, which one was the more impressive? Who was the more impressive? We had Michael in the first battle. We had and then we had Michael and Chisom. Michael won that, and then now we had David and Amara. David won. So between Michael, who won the earlier battle, and David, who won this final battle of the night, who would you put at number 1 position in Group D? That decision has got to be made. Who will go first?
Wow. Both of them did their best. Very difficult to call. Very, very difficult to call. But I think David was more imposing on the night. He was more imposing. And he dragged his point to the fact that you submit your opponent to pressure. He gave us that battle-like feel, that we were looking for. He wasn't intimidated by his opponent's point. So I think for me, basically, I'll give it to David for tonight.
David takes your vote. Okay, David.
Flows wise, again, as to smoothness, I thought that David was clinical tonight amongst everybody who's contested here. However, it's difficult to run away from the ability of Michael to have picked out those important points during the course of his argument. I thought that it took some good research to talk about the players who've had dual nationality, who've played in different AFCONs, and the outcome of those AFCONs 2013, 2019, and 2021 in 2022. I thought that took some level of research, and so I'll go for Michael as the better of the 2 winners on the evening.
So Michael takes Chuma's vote as David takes Adeze's vote. It means the decision as to who topped Group D tonight will be made by Judge David Okwara.
I think this is an easy decision for me. I think it was Michael. For 2 reasons. So he struck the balance between an articulate speaker and someone who did his research. He knew his facts and he brought them to bear. Most of the time, like 60% of the time, he was always having his facts the reason why I wouldn't be voting for David was, yes, he's articulate, yes, he has a commanding voice and presence, but you go to the other end of things where points matter. It's not quite he doesn't make the cut. So it's Michael for me.
Michael for you, and thus it is decided. Michael Nlemadim tops Group D in this battle, and he's closely followed by David in second position. That is David Augustine. All right, good. We'll take a break in a moment. When we come back, it will be time to say bye-bye to either Chisom or Amarachi. The panel have got a very sober job to do on the night, but they are professionals. They know what to do. We'll wait for that. Meanwhile, remember, we are streaming live on Facebook, and this battle is every weekday from now until the midpoint in July. There could be some slight tweaking of the schedule. We'll let you know as we go, but you can be sure we'll be here for you every single day. And you can catch us on Facebook through our live stream, on YouTube through our live stream, on the Nigeria Info mobile app, and also via Twitter. We'll be back to close this whole business out for the night on 99.3 Nigeria Info.